Hey guys, it's 5.2, step 1, finding credible sources. The learning objective is students will be able to find 3 or more sources to read about their social issue. So the key here is all about this word credible, and that's what I want you to be thinking about as you watch this video. How do I find credible sources to support my research? Let's take some notes. We're taking notes on how to take notes right now because you're going to be taking notes on your credible sources. All right. So you'll find at least 20 notes on your topic from your credible sources. And when we grade them for your mid-unit summative assessment, they'll be graded on how noteworthy your information is, how accurate and academic your paraphrasing is. Both of those topics are going to be covered in 5.3. And then they're also going to be graded on how credible your sources are. And that's what we're talking about right now for 5.2. So this is why it's so important for you to have credible sources. It is part of your grade for the mid-unit summative and then for the end of the unit summative when you actually create your podcast. So what is a credible source? Well, a credible source is a source that you can believe. Okay? How do we determine that? Well, there's a lot of different ways that we can determine it. And so that's what we're going to talk about in this video. First of all, the word credible means that you can trust it. It can be trusted. It can be believed. It's predictable or dependable. It's reliable and convincing. It's not fake. It's not made up. And what about a source? What does this word source mean? Well, it's wherever you get the information. So it might be a book, a magazine article, a scholarly article, an article published by universities and their professors, trustworthy websites, databases, and journals. All right, so these are all places where you can find credible information. Those are credible sources. How can you credible source on your chosen social issue? Well, the key is that you have to determine where the information came from. All right. The information has to come from a place that we can believe because we know that they are following all the rules of fact checking and, peer-reviewed researching and all of those things that are important to determine if something is real or not. So we do that by, first of all, trying to go beyond the surface web, going beyond just a Google search, and look for things like academic databases and other things that sometimes you have to pay to find out. And the good news is that we do have a lot of paid subscriptions here at Cooper, so you can take advantage of some of those. All right, I'm having trouble getting off of that. All right, so how can you find a credible source? We talked about determining where the information came from. There is a credible source test linked in Schoology, and what you need to do is take a look at that test and make sure your source that you find gets a score of 10 or higher, and I'll show you how that works. And just keep in mind that Wikipedia and Google are great places to start. But their information is not automatically credible because we have to find where the information first came from before somebody in the community typed it up. And so you have to dig a little bit deeper. You can't use Wikipedia in your notes as a credible source. All right, so here's the credible source test. And like I said, it has to get 10 points or higher on 5 factors. So you're either going to give each factor 0, 1, or 3 points. And you don't have to fill this out anywhere, but you do have to be able to explain why your source gets 10 points or higher based on the credible source test. So factor 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 has to add up to more than 10. All right, well, here's the first factor to consider. This is the type of source. It's least reliable, least believable if you've never heard of the website. It's possibly reliable if it's been published somewhere by someone. It's most reliable if it's an official website, institutional site, academic journal, or reputable news source. The second factor is who wrote it. Who is the author? If there's no author listed, that's least reliable or least believable. If it's got an organization but with no names with credentials, then it gets 1 point. If there's a name of who wrote it and what their credentials are, like why they're an expert in this topic, that is the most reliable. Date published is the next one. If there's no date, that's 0. If it's before 2013, it's outdated, so it gets 1 point. If it's 2013 to today, it gets 3 points. The fourth factor is sources cited. If they say where they got their information from, then it's more credible. Community edited websites, that's what Wikipedia is, so it's not reliable. Possibly reliable if they have credible sources cited. And the most reliable is if they have citations referencing other well-cited works. The last one is objectivity. If it's clearly biased, if it's clearly arguing one side over the other on your controversial topic, it gets 0 points. 1 point if it's sponsored by someone who's biased, and 3 points if it's balanced, neutral, like a news source. All right, and then this is where you're going to put your sources. Whoops, I gave you the wrong thing. No. How can you find a credible source? One last place. If you want to look at the Media Center's databases, feel free to use these. Points of View, procon.org, and SIRS are all great places to use. You can do some searching in Points of View right there or down there. Procon.org, do your searching here. SIRS, do your searching here. Those are all reliable databases, and you don't have to do a credible source test for any of those. So here is how you prove that your source is credible when you're taking notes. You're going to put the web address to the source right here, copy and paste, and then you're going to explain what makes it credible. If it's from the school database, all you have to say is it's from a school database. All right, but if it's not, then you need to explain how it scores 10 or higher on the credible source test. Okay, I hope you find some great sources as you start getting your information for your social issue. Good luck.